In this video, we're going to take a look at how to create a column chart in Excel 2019. Column chart is used to compare items, and what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be comparing the records of some football teams. Okay, so we want all of this data to be included, so we need to select it before we start. However, we also want to have a legend, so we'll have one bar for wins and one bar for losses. And we want to have a legend that identifies which is which. So I need to include these two cells as well. I don't really need the word teams to appear any place in the chart. So you might think you don't need to include that. And we're actually going to try starting here with Iowa and selecting that. And then we're going to go over here. And since this is not a rectangle that we're selecting, but basically two rectangles, I need to let go of the mouse and then hold the control key down and do another selection here for the wins and losses. And the wins cell here stays with a white background because that's where I started, but it's still selected. So I've got all of this stuff selected for Iowa down to Indiana, and I've got this stuff selected from wins and losses down to the 4 and the 8 down here, but the word teams is not selected. Inserting a chart is pretty easy to do in Excel. It's on your Insert tab, and it's in the Charts group here, and we've got a bunch of choices here. The first one is insert column or bar chart. And let's go ahead and click on that. I always called both of these bar charts, but Excel calls it a column chart if the bars are vertical. It calls it a bar chart if the bars are horizontal. So we want this first one here, clustered column chart. And you need to be careful about these other choices here. This one might work for what we're doing. It'll stack the losses on top of the wins. This one over here, though, is a 100% stack column chart, and make sure before you do one of those charts, make sure you know exactly what it is that is trying to be done. Down here, we get the same thing with 3D. In general, I don't think making it 3D adds anything to its readability. Sometimes it detracts. Then we've got the same options down here, except they are rotated 90 degrees is basically the only difference. Most of the time when you're doing one of these chart selections, what you want is probably the first one. So we're going to do a clustered 2D column chart here. And this is what we get. And this is nothing at all like what I wanted. I wanted every team down at the bottom, and I wanted 2 bars for each team. And the reason it didn't work out right is one simple reason. The reason it didn't turn out the way I wanted is because I left out the word teams. Even though the word teams is not included in any place on the chart, the basic rule is that when you select data for a chart, it has to be a rectangle, or you can't have a little corner cut out of it like I did. Or if it's not a rectangle, let's say you're doing a non-adjacent selection. Say I just wanted to make a chart of the losses. The selections, when you slide them together, must form a rectangle. Okay, so this is not anywhere close to what I wanted. It's probably easier to go back and start over than it is to try and repair this chart. So I'm going to select it by clicking on the edge with a 4-headed arrow. You'll see the little round handles appear on the sides and the corners. And when those appear, you can hit the delete key and that chart will go away. Now we're going to go over here. We're going to do it the right way this time. We're going to include the word teams and go all the way down to the bottom of our losses column. And now I have a complete rectangle from here down to here. And this should get me the chart that I want. So let's go to Insert again, and let's go to 2D column chart and click on that. And there is the chart that I wanted. I'll cover up this text here and make this a little bit bigger. So that is what I wanted, and Excel has done almost all of the work for me. It was smart enough to figure out that we had all numbers here, and these obviously are not numbers, so those must be labels, and it put those in a legend down here at the bottom. It doesn't know what I want for my chart title, so I do have to click on that. And there's 2 things that you can do here when you're editing the chart title. If you click on the box once, this may be hard to see in the video, but if you click on the box once, you get a solid line around chart title. If you click a second time, it turns to a dotted line. And when you've got a dotted line, you can edit the individual parts of the text. So let's say I wanted to make the word title here bold. Okay, I'm just going to do a Control B on the keyboard, and that part is bold. Chart did not get affected. So When you have the dotted line around here, you can click inside, get an I-beam, and you can format individual characters if you want to. Most of the time, you're probably just going to want to format the entire thing the same way. So you can click off of it, click back on it again, and when the solid line is there, you can just start typing right on top of it. So I'm going to type in Big Ten football, and you'll see up here on the formula bar, what I'm typing is appearing. It does not appear in the box on the chart, but it will as soon as I hit the Enter key. 2009. And I'm going to hit Enter right now, and it automatically updates my chart title for me. So creating a chart in Excel is pretty straightforward as long as you select the data correctly to begin with. And basically all you need to remember is that you have to select a rectangle. And if it's not a true rectangle, and it's some non-adjacent cells, then when you slide those pieces together, they must form a rectangle. So creating a basic chart is pretty straightforward. The key to it all is selecting the data correctly in the first place, and Excel will do most of the work for you. Once you've created the chart, you can do all kinds of formatting. You could spend the rest of your life formatting a chart if you wanted to, and we'll look at some of the options for formatting in another video.